All right, hi, my name is Ted Roney. I'm head of business development for Wappier. We make apps happier. So beyond game economy design, this is it's a mouthful of a title, increasing profit through intelligent revenue optimization. But what are we talking about here? So beyond game design, so the most important thing obviously that you can be doing is create a fun game that people want to download, that they want to play further and go fun with it. But that's really not revenue optimization, right? That's the most important thing to be doing, and that's what you want to do. But revenue optimization for any product is all the other things outside of that. And certainly applies to a game itself. And that's what I want to talk about. So, as a company, we like to help game developers make more money. So I'll tell a little bit about who we are. As we've been doing this for the principals of the company for about 20 years, mostly actually with wireless carriers, telcos, people like Vodafone. But then now with Wappier, we're focused on games and apps the last couple of years exclusively. And that's because game companies are unique, right? You have really a small number of people, but yet managing millions of customers. So we've taken some of our technology and then created an automated closed-loop solution to help game developers get their players to come back more often and spend more time on it. Starts with understanding of player behavior. So we have an AI engine that allows us to analyze and then predict player behavior. And then on top of that, we have a couple solutions, and this is like around trying to prevent. So in intelligent revenue management is one, automated loyalty. That's what I'm going to be talking about today. That's complemented by pricing optimization, so getting people to come back more often, but also what's the right time for a purchase, the right location, in order to maximize IAP revenues. And then a newer solution, audience management, which is taking some of the same predictive profiles that we have within our solution, and then opening it up for partners so that they can use it for their own game design purposes or even a UA and marketing of that. All right, so enough about us. So loyalty programs. So look, people like free stuff, right? Loyalty program, it's not really a new idea, right? Pick a favorite airline, your hotel, your coffee shop, right? They all want you to come back more often, and a way of saying thank you is they're going to give you points for doing that. We want to do the same things within games. So and I think it's a great opportunity. Because games, it's a digital good with no marginal cost. So frankly, the right price for something is what someone's willing to spend for it. But similarly, we have an opportunity to give out currencies and tokens for folks because we want them to come back more often and spend more time in the game. So loyalty points. So this just illustrates. So the loyalty program, really should be sort of outside of your gameplay. We don't want to interrupt the gameplay progression, or the experience here, but instead is create a loyalty program. This is an example of a loyalty profile. Come back, but we're putting in there. So the first thing is to track events. So this comes from your own predictive analytics that you may have. So we want to understand player behavior, understand the engagement they already have within the game itself. Taking this information and understanding of behavior, then we want to introduce what we call loyalty tactics, but frankly they're very familiar. They're best practices, engagement and retention features is what they are. So it's a quest, it's a daily spin, it's a gift pack, with this, and then and if you do these things, you're going to earn points. So points in this case, you think of it as another currency on top of the game. So we're going to give you points for doing these things. How you calculate the points is very important, right? And this goes back to, we built an AI framework for this, but similarly with yourself, you want to make sure, you don't want to disrupt your game economy, right? You don't want to have people stockpiling points because you redeem points for things that you sell. Right, and that's going to be in-game virtual items or their currencies. So you don't want to give so much stuff away to where they never make a purchase, because really it's supposed to work similarly to rewarded video, to where you give some coins, they buy something, hopefully they can come back and buy again. Right, that's the whole idea. It's like so not so much enough to get the experience of making transaction, learning kind of the enjoyment and the level you can have that. Get maybe further invest into the game itself. Maybe they buy again. Not everyone will buy again, but the increased sessions and session length will directly translate into increase in ad revenue for you. Some of the tactics, on the board. So it's, again, best practices, organized. We built a framework in the back end. So, we think a marketing person or product person should be the one to set up and manage a loyalty program. But certainly this is stuff that you could do yourself. Organized around retention, engagement, gameplay progression, well-known, features that you would know yourself. But what we suggest is incorporating these elements, not throw all of them. I'm going to talk about some of that, a little bit later. But incorporate some of these into your loyalty program, but designed around giving them points instead of currency. And again, outside of your normal gameplay. Going further is, try to personalize it for, ideally on a per, person or segment, basis, but at least if you can understand and make it more dynamic is, and this gives you an idea of some of the data we're tracking, not an exhaustive list, I'm not going to go through it all, but if you look at Myra here on the left, she's already a payer in the game, right? She's already been up to level 14, we've got predictions in lifetime value, we got an idea of when she's going to convert, probably can churn out of the game completely. So in this case, we're showing a bundled offer. We're showing monetization features for Myra. We want to get her to spend more, because she's already a spender in the game. You contrast that with EAD. He just joined. He's been here 5 minutes. He's only level 2. We don't want to scare him away with pricing offers, right? We want to gameplay progression tactics. Like it's a newbie quest in this example for him. We want to get him more invested in the game, enjoying the game before we start showing pricing offers for them. So that's an important part about personalization. The same way that Amazon's going to personalize the experience based on what you've already purchased. We want to do that from the loyalty profile as well. And it works. So case study example. This is the first thing that we did as a company. It's called Wizzo. Wizzo, it's a partnership actually with, it's a large Dubai-based company called NBC. Part of their portfolio is they have a bunch of media companies. I think it's like 150 million viewers across the Middle East, North Africa region. So they promote it on their television channels across that, encourage people to download Wizzo. In the back end, it's our tech that ran the loyalty program. See some of the tactics that we put in there. But for example, Narcos, download it, you complete a tutorial, we'll give you 5,000 points, right? So that's what we found and we worked with 80 different games from a lot of top publishers out there. Is it worked really well. Just saying, come back more often, spend time and points. So we did an analysis of 30 different games over 3 months looking backwards. We compared what we got from Wizzo versus the same games from Google Play and from the App Store. And these were the results. So D1 retention, we were able to increase 21%. Time spent in app, we increased 24%. Transactions per payer up 25%. And that led to a cumulative ARPU increase from $14 up to $25, a 75% increase in ARPU. Nothing more than just adding a loyalty program on top with a points-based system. So another one is Affinities. I mentioned this because hyper-casual, right? Obviously, hot topic. And you're probably, so it's correct to assume that a loyalty program will work better with a more IAP-oriented game. Absolutely, that's the case. But frankly, my assumption was it probably wouldn't work well with hyper-casual. In this case, Affinities, I don't think it's live anymore. Reason why they've let us do a case study. But right off the bat, it was NBC again. They had 2 million game installs. They promoted around Ramadan, and but they had huge retention issues with the game. So they came to us. We put in a loyalty program, on top of it. Again, just kind of an out-of-the-box solution. And it worked really well. And and this is important because with hyper-casual, right, we're kind of at a saturation point with hyper-casual. D1 retention is almost probably the most important metric. You need to hopefully getting up to 50% there because people aren't coming back in the game. You're not going to see ads on that, so that's obviously critically important. We saw a dramatic increase in, and because the loyalty program effectively, it almost created a gamification element of its own. Because this game had like 95% of the revenue was ads, so like no one was buying the tokens in there anyway, right? But yet just getting points was fun for some people, and there's the metrics there. The daily session time was up 58%. D1 retention I mentioned, hugely important for hyper-casual, increased 56%. Player lifetime increased 21%. And then most importantly, all this translated into an increase of ad revenue of 93%. Again, for just adding a loyalty program. So that's loyalty. Again, it's what we do for customers, but this is absolutely all things that you can do yourself if you're so inclined, and you should be. Behavioral economics and game design. So while everything we've been talking about what we do, we come from a machine learning aspect and kind of more automated process, there's definitely a human element in what we do in terms of designing the program based on the data. And this is something you should also consider yourselves in terms of when you're designing your offers within the game, where you're thinking about the player journey and how it might see ads or IAPs for you. Is think about behavioral economics. And what behavioral economics, what is that? It's a combination of behavioral psychology with economics, simply put. But that's the study of cognitive behavior, the social influencers that drive purchase decisions for people. What's going to drive them to make the purchase and psychological thing. Unfortunately, human beings are not rational, so they don't always make the right decision. So the important part is how you design the offer. But if you can get that right and how you communicate the offer of your value, then you're more likely to drive conversions. So let me talk about a couple sort of principles around behavioral economics. This gentleman here is Dr. Richard Thaler. He's an economist, and he coined mental accounting. So what is mental accounting? Mental accounting is the idea is that the perceived value of something is just as valuable as the objective value, which is both a very simple and kind of actually dramatic, sort of powerful thought in itself, that just what seems like it should be is just meant. And again, going back to what I said earlier, we're talking about a digital good here with no marginal cost, so it's a great opportunity for game developers to really capitalize on what the perceived value of something is. So, for example, some customers, they're only going to buy things at a discount. So if you're able to identify those customers and you're able to segment them out and target them with offers, they're the right people. It doesn't matter if they have the money. They need to see the strike-through price at 25% off, right? And my favorite wine shop I go to they have it's all their wine's good, but they have an inventory clearance section. I always buy there just because I feel better about the purchase because it was a good deal, and that's a lot of your players are going to feel the same way. And that's also an important point. It's not just making the purchase and make the money that's willing to spend, but how they feel about making the purchase, right? That they actually come away from it actually not feeling better about your game and maybe more likely to do a repeat purchase. Others are going to be more, they're more convinced with limited edition items. Right, so limited edition items can be offers that are for a limited time, so you have notions of scarcity, but also place. So, if it's, you have to get to a certain level in your game, or you unlock a box and this becomes. So again, both playing into notions of scarcity and for a special offer, it's a limited time, it's difficult to get to. That also is a way for you to project value or offer value to players in order to be more impactful for them and appreciate it more. Bundles, of course, bundling, putting two goods together, offered at a discount, great on its own. Going further, and this is something we do, and this is highly recommend for you to try to figure out. Bundle goods that are negatively correlated together. And what negatively correlated, what do I mean there? It's two items that you would never purchase together. Or most average people would never purchase together. So if I'm going to buy item X, I'm not going to buy item Y, right? And well, then I want to put together item X and Y together, and I'm going to offer it now at a very steep price discount, so it's dramatic savings. Most purchases are an impulse buy. They very quickly make a see. So I already know I want X. I see this as, wow, I get Y with it, and it's really cheap. Suddenly I'm going to make that purchase, right? It's more than item X on its own, so you're being ahead, going back to them actually, enjoying getting a good deal and feeling good about your game. That also, translates to a better experience and increased repeat purchases. Loot boxes. So, okay, a well-known monetization tactic, slightly controversial, but still, they work well. And so loot boxes on their own, it's a random selection of items, or it's virtual currency together. But go a step further. Right, offer now a premium price loot box. So it's got a special rare thing that you might have within there, and that's super cool. And it's what's great about having those two tiers now is it actually allows your players to self-select and segment themselves. And so instead of just pushing price to them, they've actually self-selected, and they said, yeah, I'm willing to spend more for something if I can be more assured of getting something super cool. Another behavioral tactic or principle to consider is provide choices, not too many choices. And this is important, but I know the temptation is so high just to throw everything you can at some sort of monetization, but customers are going to, they encounter a dilemma of over-choice when they get too much stuff, thrown at them, right? And to illustrate, look at that menu of that Chinese restaurant, right? Like, I don't even want to read the whole thing, and first of all, it can't all be fresh. It's like, well, what do I buy? I don't even know what to do with that. So and what that means is that it's actually, I'm at a dinner with a friend. I'm actually getting anxiety and frustration by seeing that menu. I'm having a bad experience. I may not walk out, but I'm probably not feeling too good about I don't even know if I ordered the right thing or not. You compare that with this menu. It's curated. It's organized. It's got, do I want meat? Do I want poultry? Do I want veggies? It's just a couple things. I get to feel pretty confident that maybe it's pretty well thought out. It's a selection there. I feel more better. I'm going to make a decision quicker on that, as well as I get back to enjoying my experience. So the key is you want to be selective with your monetization app. So again, resist the temptation to reward a video, and it's splash screens, there's interstitials, and they got like so many different IP offers. I can't even count them in a storefront with 10 different choices. You don't want people to overthink it, because that's going to lead to abandonment of and just dissatisfaction. Yeah. Leverage in-game social norms. Look how much fun they're having. So play, and the social norms, commitment to social norms. What's that? That's a nice way of saying it, but you could also call it herd mentality. FOMO. The idea is that you want to sort of capitalize on social commitment, and that people are willing to commit to things when they observe other people's doing the same thing, or in that translating to items they get. So cosmetic skins in a game is a great example, right? You see, so it's a racing game. It's got a really cool paint job. Like, how do I get that? I can buy that. Go further. Create super cool pieces of content. Again, so the idea of letting people segment themselves. Offer it maybe for a higher purchase, or maybe it's just VIPs. You need to get a certain level in there. That's an example of leveraging a social norm. People see other people with that really cool paint job in their car. They covet it and they want to get it. And similar to what I was talking about with the mental accounting, but also here, leveraging social norms applies around limited time events or even limited place. So again, if seasonality is a great one. We just came out of the holidays, so whether it was Christmas or Ramadan, if you can do some straight event around that, create content around that, it's super cool. Time is also, so not just seasons, but periodic events, and we do that already within the loyalty programs we build in terms of like happy hour specials, or happy to come happy days, but daily bonus. But the important point is, when do you offer it? So your data needs to back up that if a player comes Wednesday afternoon, they're likely to convert, and they're going to play through the weekend, and it's going to be a much greater lifetime value. So again, it begins with a deep understanding. That's why we built a machine learning framework. But if you also feel like you have pretty good insights into behavior and be able to make predictions on that, these are things that you can do yourself. How am I on time? 5 minutes. I'm nailing it. This is promotional. I'm not going to go through it. I'll let you stare at it, and I'll pause now to see if you have any questions. I think we have 2 minutes of questions, right? Or 1 minute, and then you got one.
You've got 2 questions.
I got 2 questions.
Yeah. Who wants to take a shot at asking the first question?
Or you pick. Sorry.
Fantastic.
Thanks, Mike. You spoke about machine learning. Can you talk more about how you got to that? What was your process? What data you collected? How'd you label it? Things like that.
Okay, that's a long question, but I'm happy to talk about it with you after. But I mean, simply put, if you're looking at rows and columns or Excel, you're just getting a snapshot of some of your data, right? So you're taking the reason you do machine learning is that the human mind cannot process all the information. So we're ingesting, thousands of signals from your game. So I listed a bunch of those. So everything, but the most important are engagement, signals on the game. And you're trying to understand and correlate that. That's going to surface up opportunities for you, but it begins there. So we can talk more about that later. But the only reason we do it is because if you're not doing that, you're making kind of a gut feel, and that's maybe better than the next guy's gut feel, but it may not match what your customers want.
Well, hey, what we've learned from A/B testing is your gut feel is right a lot less than you think it is.
Yeah. Right, and so better is finding a way to multivariate test stuff too, and that's where we do some multi-armed bandit tests on pricing to kind of narrow in and get to the right points and figuring out the ratio between that. But but we've automated the process. We built some tech behind that.
Okay, listen, we have just scratched the surface of what Ted knows about monetization and really good monetization tactics. Find him at some point during the conference today and just sit down and talk with him and drill down with him. You'll have an amazing conversation, I guarantee it. Ted, thank you so much for coming out
Thank
and
you,
talking
Mike.
to us today.
And we also have a booth out there, B59. Go say hello to Lena and Nikki, and they can tell you also some more about what we do.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ted.